Hey again, everybody. How's it going? Try to fix this camera and get it stable here. There we go. That's about centered. Can't see my own face on the screen because it's broken, so I just do the best I can and hope it's recording. I wanted to make a little addition, I guess. No, it wouldn't be an addition to my previous video, but I made one about judgment, and I'm thinking about other people's problems and whining and victimization and all the things that we, these labels we put upon ourselves by complaining about the way things are, but specifically towards what we've contributed to the world. I'm sure that most of us, at least those who are, I would say those who are in the over 30, you know, those who are younger, of course, too, but your friend group probably hasn't gotten into their own yet. As far as when you're 17, 18, your friends might have these business ideas and make a little money, but then you get to be older, you know, 30s and 40s, and you start seeing friends of yours who are, you know, making huge investments and starting companies and businesses and doing really good for themselves and farms, and sometimes it's easy to think, man, I want to do that. And having a farm is something I've always wanted to do, but I've never given up on it. And I guess the message that I wanted to convey in this video was, don't ever give up on your dreams. There's no age where you're too old to do what you want to do. Not even when you're 40, not when you're 50, 60, or 70. After listening to several hundred hours of lectures by Manly P. Hall, there was one part that really stuck out. And I can't remember which lecture it was, but he was talking about aging gracefully. And it was very inspiring. He was talking about, you know, the reason why they call it the golden years, of course, isn't because just because you're old, it's because you're wise and you can apply that. And he was saying how after the age of 65, this one lady went on to write, and this is I think in the 1800s, she went on to write one of the most, you know, the most well-known books of about herbs and herbology at the time. And she'd taken her lifetime of learning, and something she'd always wanted to do, but she'd always been tied down with whatever she was doing in her life. And she decided, well, now that I'm retired, I'm going to write this book. And she did. And it was a phenomenal book, and it went on to be really popular. But the idea that a person's too old to contribute, or that you're past your prime, is just ludicrous, because your knowledge base is always there, unless you're losing your faculties, of course. If you have dementia, if you start forgetting things and, you know, the age is showing, that's one thing. But our minds are fertile, and through the decades and decades of wisdom accumulated over time, a person can really apply that. See, what's lacking with people who could do something but don't want to isn't usually the faculties or ability to do so in the mind. It can often be the body is wearing down. But more than that, we can be broken. We can feel like society's broken us. But I think one of the most crucial aspects to why we think that, you know, it's because we've created this idea of retirement at the age of 65. That we put a number on when a person can stop working and start collecting their, you know, collecting their Social Security. It's a complete fabrication. It's just a complete fabrication, a total illusion that any age whatsoever tells us when we're done. Some people die at 65. Some people live to be 105. So think about it. If I turned 65 and decided, oh well, I'm done. 75, 85, 95, 105. That'd be 40 years. 40 more years. Now I'm 40 today. I'm 41. That means that, and you can always throw away the first 10 years of your life as being childhood, and sometimes even more, up to your teen years, till really you're really there and you start remembering. So I've really only been alive for 25 or 30 years. So that means I could have more than my entire lifetime after retirement. So this number is just a facade. If we could let go of that and stop seeing ourselves as on the decline, then we can see that we still have some oomph, but we have to put forth the effort. Now, it's easy for me to say that because I'm only 41 and I'm not 65. So I can't tell you how I'm going to feel when I'm that old. But I'll tell you this, I don't have any pension coming, and I sure as hell don't have Social Security coming. I'll be making my own future. And I think most of us in my age group probably won't have anything to draw on anyway, not that Social Security would be enough to live on. I'm going to work my butt off to learn as much as I can so I can apply that knowledge when I'm older. I have 3 kids, one 22 this year, one is 7 and one is 4. And they'll both be, in a couple months, they'll be 5 and 8. And when my first son, about the time he left home, well, he's back now, but when he was about 18, at that age where you can be self-sufficient, we had another one, and then another one. So some people dedicate 20 years of their life to raising a kid. In my case, it's going to be 40. But that doesn't mean that my whole life has to be about that kid or raising the kids. It's something you do. It's part of life. But the reason I say that is because a lot of folks who take on the role of stay-at-home dad or stay-at-home mom, it's as if it's, what, is that the only thing that we can do? Of course not. I run a business from home. I have my herb business, then I have to come in and deal with the kids. It's back and forth, and even though I'm home all day, I'm constantly on the move. I'll stop if I've got a few minutes and make a video. But I just generally definitely don't sit around on the couch and watch TV all day. But in the morning I do my educational things, and I usually learn about the mind and the body and do as much research as I can, watch a few TED videos or something, TED Talks, then go about my day. But I'm always thinking. And so it doesn't matter how much responsibility we have. Our brains can always be thinking, and even if you're working, you might have to think about what you're doing. But for example, as a carpenter, I was a carpenter for like 15 years, on and off, until my back gave out with sciatica, and I just had to quit. And looking back, I'm like, I should have quit sooner, but I needed to make income. But when I was working, I ended up getting my own license, worked for myself for a couple of years, and it's really hard to go out and bid jobs and, bill people and get all the materials and stuff. And eventually I just said, well, I'm just going to go work for this other guy and just work as an employee for a while. So we worked in the West Hills in Portland and worked on this remodel for 6-8 months. And during that time, every morning I'd get to work and I'd walk up, because I got up early to get down there, like an hour early, because traffic was so bad and I didn't want to sit in traffic. So I'd get down there and I'd walk up the street and film the sun rising over Portland and upload the video to YouTube sometimes, and it's crazy to think it was that long ago. But then I'd come back down, I'd put my headphones on, I'd grab my tool bags, put them on, set up all my saws, and then I'd put my headphones on and I'd listen to philosophy lectures. For a while it was Manly Hall, and then for a while it was the Great Courses series. I listened to everything, Aristotle and Socrates, and all these John Locke and all these modern and old philosophers, and I realized, at that time I'm learning so much while I'm working that it's almost like going to college while I'm getting paid for it instead of paying for it. Some people need direction with education, but for me, I love to educate myself, and so I'm always learning. I'm always listening to stuff in the background, but even when you're not, you can be thinking about life, and it's something you have to set your mind to want to do. You have to really embrace life for what it is and realize that none of us really understand the full complexity of what the universe is or will be. We don't know where we come from or where we're going, but we can know where we're at right now. And people can argue the details and say, wait a minute, we do know where we're going. We're going to heaven or hell, or we do know where we're going. We're just going into the dirt and that's it. Why speculate on whether there's an afterlife or not? The most important thing is to embrace this life here. So if we're just giving up and saying, oh well, it's my time to go, maybe next life I'll be able to complete this, that's not going to fly. You have one chance at being you. One chance at being you in this world, as far as we know. And if you say you've lived before, I would ask you, how much do you remember? And if you don't remember your whole previous life, if you did live a previous life, then what does it matter? You're evolving towards becoming yourself. Every one of us is. And hopefully that self yearns for more and to understand. Not to hang on desperately to life and cling as long as we can, But then when it is our time, we can feel like we've put the most into it and look back and say, yeah, that was a good fucking ride. So, peace.